if you have attended my course on data structures, the same thing I would like to reiterate now, because this is also again very important. And the reason is, without algorithms, how can you survive? In the data structure course itself, you would have certain ideas like what is the importance of algorithm. We even covered that also. So no matter whether you were in my class or any class, these topics might have covered. So these are the fundamental things. It's like data structures and algorithms, we say. In the last time it was CSC 2011 and it was data structures and algorithm. This time it's 2012 and design and analysis of algorithms. So algorithms are really important. Again, what is the why it is important? What is the different ways by which you can estimate the efficiency of algorithms? What is meant by complexity? How do you measure the complexity? What is the importance of complexity? What you mean by time complexity, space complexity? All these things. What is the importance of writing efficient algorithms? You can do a task in different ways, but the way in which you write the algorithm, that makes the difference. So, so many things we have learned during our previous course on data structures and algorithms. So this will be just an extension of that course. So you will be familiarizing. You'll get a chance to familiarize many of the algorithms that are applicable in various fields, various domains. That can be from graph theory, that can be from computational geometry, or that can be different programming or algorithm design strategies. Of course, we will start the course by explaining the algorithm design strategies. But before all these things, we should know an overview of the course, what is going to happen right through this semester. At the end of the semester, what will be your position regarding this subject. Such things we can interact this time. And of course, last time, you people were interacting actively or participating actively in the class. So I expect the same thing in this class also, when this is a general trend that we usually observe, we faculty members usually observe, is when the students become seniors, their interest in interacting with the teacher in the class will be a little bit affected. But I'm not expecting that from you people, because I know you people, many of you. So I'm expecting the same kind of spirit, same enthusiasm this time also. So always interact with me. Whenever I ask something, you please say something. And all the difficulties I have explained to you many times, since I am speaking to a laptop camera or something. So it is very awkward. So nothing can replace a live classroom. So in order to impart that liveliness, your response is very critical. That is why always unmute and say something whenever I ask something. Or if you have any doubt, you can then and there stop me. No issues. All these things are known to me. And if you are new, then you will be understanding it in first couple of classes. So let us just, I created a short presentation, and we will just discuss the objectives, overviews, everything about the course, because since this is a core course, you don't have any other go. You have to choose this. You have to score good marks. You have to go get good grade in this course. So because this is a core course, and especially this is a 4 credit course. 4 credit course means, and the credit is more, the importance of the subject will be more. And when the credit is more, if you score good grades, then your overall CGPA will be affected positively. So many things, such things you will be knowing right from 10th or plus 2, because you have this credit based system overall. So today this is a 4 credit course, and this is the name. And I did a mistake here. This was for data structures and algorithm. And no mistake. So I thought this is a prerequisite. So you see, this is CSE 2003. It is written. So that is a mistake. But this should be 2003 for the senior students. This syllabus is not revised. That is the reason why this should be 2011. 2011 will be the prerequisite for 2012. In fact, your seniors have the same subject, CSC 2003, with the same syllabus, whatever you learned, even I had one slot for them also. It's one almost the same syllabus, not exactly the same, but similar. Some modules here and there they have changed. So this is the prerequisite. So and this is the course and these are the credits. These things you know, and I guess you have a copy of the syllabus with you. Did you have? Do you have any disturbance or anything?
No, sir.
No,
Okay,
sir.
then no. Okay, then I think it's fine because many faculty have classes since this online setup. In the next cabin also some class is going on. That is why I asked. Maybe by next class I'll make some other arrangement. I'll ask some classroom to open so that I don't know. If possible, I'll do that. And these are the course objectives. This is right there in your syllabus, so there is no point in explaining this. So these are the objectives of the course to provide a mathematical foundation for analyzing. This is very, very important, mathematical, because everything in engineering is mathematics. You know this. Without mathematics, nobody can survive. Whatever, regardless of the branch, it can be computer science, electronics, mechanical, civil, or anything. It's applied mathematics. So to provide a mathematical foundation for analyzing these algorithms and proving efficiency of the algorithm. This is in fact uh, uh, a mathematical approach. Even before the discovery of computers, I should say, there are algorithms, there are means to estimate the complexity of algorithms. All these things are in place before the discovery of computers. But when the computers came, it became more relevant because for writing a computer program, we need an algorithm. If you want to make something to be done with the help of a computer, then we must have an algorithm. So the algorithm and analysis of algorithm, writing efficient algorithms, what is the importance of this, that everything became relevant by the inception of computers. Now, second objective is to focus on design of algorithms in various domains. That is very important. We are not confining ourselves to just a single domain. We'll have problems from various domains. So you will have a variety of problems from graph theory, then this geometry, computational geometry. Then we have complexity analysis, this NP class, and what is this complexity classes? How do you choose algorithms or how do you classify algorithms based on that? Several other things are there. So that is one aspect that you are going to learn from this course. Then to provide a familiarity with the main thrusts of work in algorithms sufficient to give some context of formulating and seeking non-solutions to algorithmic problems. So after the completion of course, if you are given with a brand new problem, you should be able to write the algorithm, you should be able to analyze the algorithm, estimate the complexity. Can you suggest a better algorithm? Better in the sense in terms of complexity. So such things will be you will be knowing after this. So these are the major objectives of the course, and this is a module wise split up. Even I think I don't need to explain this because we will come to know. But just for the sake of giving an overview, I'll just tell you. First module is really simple. Whatever we have learned, so this is these three things we already know. So right from first year Python classes, you will be knowing this. So it is very easy. Proof of correctness we will learn. It is something which is new, which you have not learned so far. Then we have several algorithm techniques, design techniques. This module 2 is very critical. Module 2 is very critical. It covers a whole lot of things. We have different algorithm design strategies. So algorithm design, it's not like the same approach we will take for all the problems. Same approach cannot be used. Depending upon the problem, depending upon the domain, depending upon the application at hand, algorithms should be approached differently. That makes this module very important. So there are brute force strategies. Many of these techniques, you at least you have an attachment to these names. Even if you don't know the concept properly, you might have heard all these things. Divide and conquer, of course, you will be knowing. Then we have greedy techniques, dynamic programming, backtracking, these things. Even more techniques are there. This list is not exhaustive. You have more techniques like branch and bound is there. Then several other techniques are there. So these many techniques we need to learn and these many algorithms. So that is what I was telling. We will be taking several algorithms from several domains to study. So this is a graph theoretic algorithm. So maximum and minimum is just a data structure based, like it's arrays. Then this is matrix multiplication. Matrix is nothing but two-dimensional arrays. Then you have this coding and data compression, means it is coming from the networks or information security. So such algorithms also even we will consider. So that is what this is diversity. The domain is very diverse. We will be taking problems from various domains. So that is another feature. So that what is the advantage is you will be having all these subjects in the future semesters. And whenever you are asked to design an algorithm from that particular subject, then it will be quite easy for you. Many of those subjects will have J components. So you will be doing a project on that. So how to design your project, such things. So this is the stepping stone to all such future courses. So this is again these are dynamic programming kind of problems. So subsequence, longest common subsequence, this have applications in areas like biology and all. So if you take a project from biology, or if you are doing something in bioinformatics, bioinformatics is a buzzword nowadays. So if you are doing something from that domain, then these things will be longest common subsequence, then suffix trees, such things. So then recursive backtracking is another algorithm design strategy where we will correct ourselves. So whenever you go wrong, it is not guaranteed that all the steps you take in an algorithm will be correct. Sometimes you may have to go back. That is what is known as backtracking, and we will learn it in detail. In general, what I wanted to emphasize is this module is very important, second module. So we will be soon entering into the second module. And here module 3 again string matching algorithms. So it is just reserved for string matching algorithms. It's very short module. So we have two different algorithms, KMP and Rabin-Karp, these two algorithms. And this is also again very important in biology, like gene sequencing. You would have heard this gene sequencing, protein sequencing, all these are sequences. If you look at a gene from a biological point of view, it is something which is a large biomolecule, huge biomolecule. It's a gene. You call it as a gene, but this you would have learned from your 12th standard biology. But from a computer science point of view, gene is just a sequence. For us, gene is just a sequence. So it's just a string. You can consider it as a string. So it's very exciting to do problems from that domain using computational techniques. So it is in fact for that purpose, this is there. This module is there. Then you can have computational geometry. Again, it is very exciting field. It is yet another very different area. It stands apart. It stands separate. Computational geometry. We will apply geometric problems. We will have several geometric problems. You might have learned analytical geometry or coordinate geometry, you will call it as in your previous courses. Maybe in here also you have the foundational mathematical course in computational geometry, where you have the vector space, vectors, linear algebra, all such things. So such problems also we can have algorithms. We can do everything computationally. Now computers or computational algorithms are everywhere. These are applied everywhere. It is not like we people will do computation and the rest of the people will do mechanical, people will do machines, electrical people will do electric current. It is not like that. Everywhere computer science is applied. That is why we are somewhat relevant kind of entity nowadays. Computer science people, computer scientists or computer science students like us. So that is again, if you apply something in geometry, some algorithms in geometry, then so as I told, this course takes input from all other domains, and we will have lot of algorithms to learn. So it's just a learning of different algorithms. One after another, we will learn a lot of algorithms. That is the only objective of this course, and it will help you in future immensely. Okay, I should say. So then we have these things we learn. Okay, I'm not reiterating. I just give you. Then graph algorithms. Already you know graph algorithms. We had a taste of graph algorithms in last semester itself. You have a single source shortest path algorithm last time. Can you tell me which single source shortest path algorithm did we learn during last semester?
Dijkstra's algorithm.
Yes, exactly. Dijkstra's algorithm we had. Yeah. Yeah, Kruskal's algorithm is there, but it is not shortest path. It is for spanning tree. You might have forgotten, no issues, because it's natural, but you remember the names. That is great. So it is all pair shortest path this time. Last time it was single source shortest path. Now we have all pair shortest path. Dijkstra's we had learned, but we have Bellman Ford. Even I mentioned that name during our last class. Of course, your teacher would also have mentioned that name. This Bellman Ford algorithm is there. It overcomes some of the disadvantages of Dijkstra's algorithm, and all pair shortest path is just a beginning this time, because single source we covered in last semester. So now we have all pair shortest path, which starts with Floyd-Warshall algorithm, which is again a dynamic programming strategy. Then what is dynamic programming strategy? We will learn it in second module. So it is just like a story. Okay, you are not afford to miss any classes. That is the problem. If you miss some classes before coming to next class, you should watch the video. That's it. This is very important, because it is like a story. If you are watching a movie and if you miss half an hour, how can you catch that movie? What had happened in last half an hour, you don't know. So you might be in a position to assume something. Your assumptions can be right, can be wrong. So it will be totally messed up. So it's just like a story. If you are reading a novel, if you miss some 5 chapters, I don't know, it will be impossible to read the novel further. So just like that. So that is very important. Again, don't miss the classes to the maximum, and due to some unavoidable reasons, if you miss the class, you watch the video. I'll be regular in uploading the video streaming in that MS Stream website. So you can directly stream. You don't have to download anything. You can directly stream. So I will be, to the extent possible, I will be regular. Sometimes some delay can happen, but still. Yeah, then we have network flows. This is again very, very important. Flow networks. Flow networks means it has got widespread applications. Many systems are working based on these algorithms, and here you have to learn a lot of algorithms. So my question is, are you getting kind of excitement in learning these things, or it's a monotonous
Yes, sir.
explanation? Yeah.
It's
Uh,
very
do you,
exciting.
yeah, do you really want to, like, do you have a feeling like, yes, I want to learn all these things? Are you getting such a feeling? That is my question. Yeah, yeah. If
Yes, sir.
that is the case, that is my objective of this class. That is why I am spending. I would have directly gone to the topic, but I didn't do it because of this thing. Because you should know that you are getting an opportunity to learn something which is exciting, and it is not like, oh, I should learn these things. What can I do? This is there in the syllabus. This is a core course I should take. It is not like that. This is very exciting to learn all these things. If you know all these things, then that will add a lot of value to you as a computer science student. That is the reason why it is again. And I don't know why always I'm getting important courses like this, because last time also I might have repeated the same thing, or I might have told you the same thing. It is because it is really, it is, I'm not lying, or I'm not exaggerating. It is the fact. It is the fact. That subject was important. This subject is also important. Okay. These things, okay, we'll learn. Then minimum cost flow is again important. It is a managerial problem. Even management people will do minimum cost flows. So we have a computer science version of that minimum cost flow problem, and we'll be learning the cycle cancelling algorithm, which is again very important, and it is applied in various domains. This is a research topic, I should say, but complexity classes. But we should learn at this stage. So you will be surprised at why am I learning research topics in second year BTech? But it is not like that. The concept should be known to you well in advance. So that is why this is there. You have something related to complexity. So as the name suggests, it is complexity classes. So it is related to complexity. So at the first look, you may not be getting a feel of it, but as you go on, as you read, as you get more and more classes, it will be very much useful and it will be very interesting, I think. This complexity classes. There are P class, NP class, several things. So as when the time comes, we will step into module 6. When we'll step into module 6, you will be learning or knowing all these things, and it is again a research area. So if your objective is to go for higher studies, go for PG, and after that maybe PhD, and after that maybe postdoc or anything, if you are going in that direction without having or getting a placement is not everything. Many students will have such a perspective. Getting a placement and becoming a software or engineer or something. There are R&D jobs, research and development jobs, which is over the top of everything. Right after BTech, you will be getting a software development job. Maybe you will get a good package or everything, but there will be an R&D team over the top of everything. So for getting into such a position, you should go for higher studies. That is your choice anyhow. But if you decide such a career, then all these things will be quite important. That is the reason why this thing is imparted to you at this stage in the second year BTech stage itself. So if you want to develop further, it is easy. So that is the objective of this module, and we have several example toy. These will act as some toy examples, but definitely this will help you if you are in charge of some R&D team in some organization. Can be Amazon, can be Google, can be anything, Microsoft, anything. You can dream big. Nobody will stop you from dreaming. Okay. Anyhow, so that is the objective of this module. That is the reason why this is there. Now we have approximation algorithms and randomized algorithm. This is in fact module 7 is this approximation part is a continuation of this module 6, because the stuff in module 6 you will come to know that all the problems in this universe cannot be solved in polynomial time. We must have something known as non-deterministic polynomial algorithms. So solution to such algorithms will be difficult because exponential complexity. You remember the complexity classes last semester. If the complexity is n square, it is quite okay. We are okay with n square because we have sorting algorithms for n square algorithms, n square sorting algorithms like insertion sort or selection sort or bubble sort even. These are okay with us. But if this is reversed, if you have something like 2 power n, then it disturbs us a lot because this complexity is very high. And if you draw the curve, one will go like this. So this is the growth. This is the growth. So this is the growth of 2 power n, and this is the growth for n power 2. So you see the difference. And if this is the size of the input n, on if you plot the size of the input on x-axis and the time to complete on the y-axis, then you see the time to complete. It is like skyrocketing like this. You see the difference in growth. So this disturbs us a lot. But unfortunately, many of the algorithms, current day algorithms, we don't have a polynomial solution like this. For all these problems, we don't have a polynomial time solution, I should say. So we must have something known as approximation algorithms. So that is the idea behind approximation algorithms. So just we will be learning. So there is no point in worrying about those things at this stage. But while we reach at module 7, it will definitely be a worry for us. And we will be thinking, or we will be sorting out different alternatives to address such issues. So these are always there. So that we will cover. Then we have randomized algorithms, randomized quicksort. At least some of you would have learned randomized quicksort. Quicksort has a randomized version. So like that, we have some randomized algorithms. So quicksort has, why I'm telling quicksort, because it is familiar to you. Quicksort has certain inherent disadvantages, like if you choose the pivot as the first element or last element always, then it will have certain issues. So what we do is we will select the pivot element randomly. This version is known as randomized quicksort. So I'm telling you because randomized quicksort is randomized algorithms are there. You can randomize your quicksort. Traditionally, we have the quicksort, you know the algorithm. Even if I ask you now, you can write the algorithm, but there is a randomized version. Why do we randomize? Many questions are there. So that we will cover here in module 7. And module 8, as you know, it is a recent trend. So whatever is recent, then we will be discussing if time permits. Okay, and based on the instructions from the school. Based on the instructions from the course coordinator, HOD or dean, we can decide on that. That will be decided later. I am not commenting anything about this. Even sometimes you can also contribute something, just like giving a seminar on some recent topics voluntarily, not for marks or anything. Voluntarily, if you wish to do, that can be done, or we can arrange a guest lecture or whatever. That depends on the instructions we get from the school. Until then, for the time being, we will forget this. We will do something that we can say. Sometimes we'll do nothing also, if that is okay, because we have enough stuff here. Module 1 to module 7, we have enough stuff. So if that is the case, then but I cannot make a decision my own. Based on the instructions from the top level, we'll be deciding. Okay. Anyhow, so that is all about the course. So any questions so far? I guess no questions, so it's fine. It's just the description of the syllabus. There is no point in asking questions this, because we cannot add anything to the syllabus. We cannot remove either. So there is no point in asking questions. That could be the reason obvious. The reason is obvious. Anyhow, so these are the study materials. This is the Bible for us. So every computer science student must have a copy of this textbook, at least ebook. I'm not telling the printed copy, the ebook. This is a very important textbook. So this is popularly known as CLRS textbook. CLRRS. So this textbook is known as CLRS. So if you Google in CLRS, you will get this textbook. So that is the popularity of this textbook. And they are very humble. These authors are very humble. They are telling, or they have named this book as Introduction to Algorithms. If their introduction is at this level, what we will do if they author an advanced level textbook, I don't know. So introduction is that much heavy. So, and they are very humble. That is why they have named the textbook as Introduction to Algorithms. And this is popularly known as CLRS textbook. So at least you have an ebook. If possible, if it is affordable, you can have a printed copy. It will not be a it will not be it will be useful for you. Okay. Don't think that you will be losing something by getting a hard copy of the book. But I will not insist, because ebooks are available. Even I have uploaded the ebook in your MS Teams files page. So you can download it from here. So here where I have this is our Teams. This is our Teams, and where is our team? Yeah, F1 slot. I think I have in the file section. If you go to general channel and file section, open this materials, you can see algorithm. This is CLRS third edition. So this CLRS textbook I have just now, I have done that. So this is one of the textbooks you can download. I think whatever I post here, you can download. Or else I have posted the same thing in VTOP also, VTOP study material section. So if you go to our class page in VTOP, you can download the textbook. But do download this textbook and keep it with you. And if you get time, you simply read it. Okay. Don't wait for the classes to happen. You can read it, because it has some 1,500 pages. So if you wait for the classes, you will not finish that book by this semester. So you can read when you get free time, but be regular. Like don't take the 15th chapter and read. It will not work. Start from the beginning. It's a very foundational book. One thing. And these are the reference books. If you wish, we can download these books also and read it. So this first book is available in VTOP also. You can order a printed copy if you wish, hard copy from Amazon or anywhere. All the bookshops will have this book, but nowadays I don't know whether you can go to a bookshop or not. Then you can order online. Okay. Anyhow, so that is all about study material. So don't insist or don't rely on the classes. Okay. Classes means I can deliver you very minimal content. Whatever is required, I'll just give you an idea what is what, because we don't have time for a detailed discussion. We will not have time. So always read textbooks. It is very important. You can read other articles, online blogs, everything is possible, but the knowledge that you acquire from reading textbooks, that is different, because it should be presented in a systematic way. The blog means he will be writing whatever is required. Textbook is not like that. Right from the beginning, everything will be explained in a proper manner. So if you don't have the habit of reading textbook, you cultivate that habit now and read this textbook at least. It will be beneficial for you at many occasions. All the placement interviews, everywhere questions will be there from these two subjects: data structures, algorithms, C programming. These three subjects are very important. So that is why I tell you, you read this textbook. Anyway, we'll go a little fast. So these are the course outcomes. Course outcomes is nothing but nowadays it's everything is outcome based education. You might have learned the trend has changed. It is outcome based education. So you should ask what is the benefit that I am getting by learning all these things. Nowadays people are a little more conscious about these things. What will you earn? So when you are purchasing anything, you will check 100 times. What is the benefit? Is it really beneficial? Is it will it be useful? Many things, many concerns, many pointers you will have while even purchasing a small thing like a mobile phone or headphone or anything. So in education also the same thing. What is the outcome that I'm getting if I learn this course? So that is known as outcome based education. Now the trend is like this. So these are the course outcomes. This is there in the syllabus also. So I'm not reading it. If you feel like reading this, you can read. Otherwise also it is okay, because it is not very, it is actually very important, but I don't know in what extent it is important from your side, your point of view, that I don't know. But these are the course outcomes. Just for the sake of listing it out, I have listed it out. This is very important. So this will be assessment methodologies and rubrics. So this is, we will follow the same pattern. If my previous students will be knowing the pattern which I am following, exactly the same thing. This time also I'll follow. We have CAT 1, which is not in our control. The institute will conduct it and we will have to. I have to conduct the exam and you have to write the exam. So CAT 1, there is no control, and it is as per the latest calendar. It will be on these dates, but it is subject to change. If some revision of the calendar comes, it can change, but roughly we can assume that it will happen on these days. And this you know. And quiz 1. We will be having 2 quizzes and 1 DS. That is the distribution. Okay, this we have control over it. We can decide. So I have decided to have 2 quizzes and 1 DS. So this will be the tentative time and the detailed schedule will be announced later. This is after one quiz we will conduct after CAT 1 and one quiz we will conduct after CAT 2, or between CAT 1 and CAT 2 quiz 1, after CAT 2 and closure of the semester quiz 2. So that is going to be the plan. And one more thing is, if you miss some quiz, if it is not because of any genuine reason, without any evidence, you have simply missed the quiz, means we can have requiz, but the only issue is we will have 80% of the marks. So if you get 10 marks for the request, I'll give you 8 marks. Okay, that is the idea here. So there will be something you will be losing if you don't attempt the quiz for the first chance. Because the reason is, I find many students, not from your batch, I find many students misusing this opportunity. If I give request, they will take only request. Okay, on the first day they will not take. So some students are putting a lot of pain and taking the first time quiz. The other set they are getting enough time and they are taking the quiz. There is no difference between these two people. So it is a injustice. That is the reason why if you attempt for requiz, the maximum mark will be 8. If you score 8, you will get if you score 10, you will get 8. Like that, whatever you score, you will get 80%. So this is one of the changes that I have introduced this time. And the reason for this is the students itself. Okay, not you, many set of students from other classes. So I wanted to have a policy. So as a part of the policy, this is introduced, but this will not disturb you, I guess, because all of you are good students. You will be taking it in the first chance, unless you have a genuine reason. If you have a genuine reason, no worries, you can take it, but you have to prove your genuinity. That's it. Okay. This is again, fat is again, it is not in our control. So all these things, it's clear. Let us move fast. And this is the digital assignment rubrics. So one digital assignment is there. This I'll upload in our course page also, so you can have it. Next thing is the lab component. Okay, lab component, we have a lab component for this course also. I think L11, L12, right? And that is also students have mixed it up. So many students will be coming in 11 slot and many students will come in. A few students, I think 16 students, I have segregated them. 16 students will go to the other slot, 11 slot instead of morning slot itself. Actually, technically, if you have theory class in the morning, you will be having lab class in the afternoon. But due to some availability or clashes in the course, somebody had taken 16 students had taken morning slot itself. But no worries, if you are in lab, you will get you are in one theory and one lab, of course. So you will be getting all the contents either in theory class or in the lab class. But one point, if I explain some algorithm or anything in lab class, I will not repeat in theory because it is too boring and it is time consuming. It is just a waste of time. So if I explain something in lab, it is equally applicable in theory also. Don't think that I won't get any questions for the CAT exam because it is theory questions only. Whatever we learn in theory, that we will apply in lab. That is the idea. So here, and these things, you know, these questions you can see in BTOP, not now. I'll upload. Once we have our first lab, we will decide. And then assessment can be from multiple labs, and these are the options I gave you. So this time C, C++, and maybe you can do our experiments in Python also. I'm fine with that because you had a course on Python, so it is a chance to brush up your knowledge in Python. So that is also fine. C or C++, you are familiar because we had last time the classes and labs. And this is always, I insist, multiple test cases you have to give. Don't just not just one test case. You can give multiple test cases and see your the perfection of your program. If your program works for all the test cases, it's good. Upload it, and this is very important. Last time, even from your class, I got several emails, and email submission this time I will not allow. I will be very strict on that. Even if you send emails, I will not consider because I faced several issues, several like what I they'll send some email, and if I say that it's okay, I'll reduce some marks, but I'll accept, then it becomes a right of the student. Actually, it is not the right of the student. The only submission medium that is recommended by the institute is VTOP. And they are sending the email and later on questioning, sir, I have emailed you. Why are you not giving marks? Like shouting at me. What is the point? It is not your right. You just at least understand that it is some kind of what freedom I am giving. But later on, the students will misinterpret it as a right, as their right. I have sent you email. Why didn't you give me mark? Like that, they are shouting at me. So I stopped. So this time, please submit on VTOP only. So it's again a part of a common policy. I am not saying that students from your class did it. No, it's from other classes. So I made it as a common policy. So please submit. VTOP, the issue is you should submit on time. If you are late, you can't upload in VTOP, you know it. So do submit on time. You will be given enough time. and don't wait for the last minute. If you wait for the last minute and you will say internet is down, my VTOP is not working, my login is not working, several things you will say. If not you, generally the students will say. So this is because you are waiting for something like waiting for last minute and not doing it properly on time. So, and then later on asking for excuses, sir, my VTOP login at that moment it didn't work. It was working properly and afterwards it worked properly. At that moment it didn't work. Several excuses, several awkward excuses I heard last time. So that is the reason why I will be a little not strict, a little careful about this. Okay, anyhow, let us stop. We this lab component discussion we will have in our lab class. Our lab class is when I don't know, whenever it is happening, we will be having our lab class. I'll tell you more about this lab component. Several things are to be told that we will have in the lab class. Okay. So one last point in 1 minute, I'll tell you this class notebook and this Moodle account you should check. Okay, we will be having, I'm planning to do some quizzes and all in Moodle. So this Moodle account, all of you make sure that you have the Moodle account. So if you don't know how to check the Moodle account, this is there. Okay. In case you are not able to use, there is a credential option, my info in VTOP and your credentials. There you can have all your Moodle credentials, everything. And once you get your Moodle login and password, if you already know, then no problem. I don't know. Many of you will have last time also Moodle classes. Some faculty members will insist Moodle, some will not. It's optional, but it is very convenient. That is why I decided to, because there should be something added every time into our life. Like this is a new learning experience for you and as well as for me. So that is why I decided to go ahead with it. So you can so have your Moodle account safe with me. I'll ask you next class what is the status of your Moodle account. Then you should tell me it's okay. I have the Moodle account. I could log in. You should tell me. Okay, that is my advice. And here is the way in which you can do that. Anyhow, we are stopping now since it's already time is exceeded. We will discuss more in the next class and we'll start the class formally next class in the next class. So with this, I didn't give you an opportunity to ask questions. That will also be done in next class. Okay. So this for the time being, keep your doubts in your mind and we will discuss in the next class. Okay. So I think it's 9:47 already, 7 minutes exceeded. So we will stop this and maybe, yeah, attendance list I'll get anyhow. There is no need of downloading it from here. I can get it after the meeting. There are other updates in Teams, so it's okay. So I'll get it from there. So thank you very much, and we will meet in the next class, and we will discuss more about this course and little more about these things, and we will enter into our topics in the next class. So, and of course, I'll be addressing all your questions. Okay. So note down your questions and be ready in the next class about the course, about the syllabus, about this. If you have any opinion, you can tell me, like email submission should be continued. If you have such an opinion, we can discuss it. Okay. Anyway. So thank you very much. We will disperse for now and thank you and see you. Bye until next time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.